Hey there, it's Glenn, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a two-string guitar or a Chugger with a hardwood dowel as the neck. Let's do this! Here are the tools we're going to be using for this project. I have a drill driver and bits, measuring stick, measuring tape, sandpaper file, blue painter's tape. You didn't think I was going to be making a video without it, did you? A pencil, a miter box and saw, and very importantly amongst the bits is a 1-inch Forstner bit to make a hole for the hardwood neck that's going to be used in this project. And for my people on the metric, I believe that's 25.4 millimeters. Shubbing! Here are the materials that I'll be using for this project. I have pop rivets and drywall screws, the pop rivet gun, which I failed to put into the tools section of the video, hardwood dowel for the neck, a scrap piece of 1x2, actual dimensions are 3 1/4 by 1.5 inch, which I think for my metric people is 1.9 centimeters by 3.8 centimeters, some closed gear tuners, a cigar box, and some panhead screws that are fitted for flathead screwdrivers to serve as the nut. This is the cigar box we're going to be using for this project. Most people would find this to be not desirable for a guitar, but for our two-string Chugger it's going to be perfect. What I'm actually going to do is flip the box over, as you can see here, and use the bottom of the box, which is much thinner than this lid, as the top of the guitar. It will vibrate much better than, say, the side of the box would. We're going to measure out 3.5 inches for the headstock to be cut out, and I believe that's 8.89 centimeters. Listen, I'm sure I'm supposed to round up, but I'm just giving it to you the way that I'm reading it on my laptop. Alright, so we're going to measure out the 3.5 inches, and I'm going to cut out 3/8 inches of material here, so that if I extend it like so, oh, how precise is this? This is what we're going to notch out. With the dowel clamped into place in the miter box, I've cut the length of the dowel down to 86 centimeters or 34 inches in length, and I'm going to cut out that 3.5 inch by 3/8 inch area for the headstock, which is, I think, 8.9 centimeters by 9.5 millimeters. All right, let's get at this bad rabbit. While we're periodically checking to make certain that we're maintaining the line, we're going to cut out the rest of the headstock. Hopefully you're not awkwardly straddling the dowel like I am. Here we're going to file and sand the front of the headstock to make it nice and smooth, and when that's done, just flip it over and file out a spot on the back of the headstock large enough and flat enough that'll securely fit your tuner. With the headstock cut out and filed down, I'm going to use that back flat edge to secure up against a plank, a scrap piece of wood. Now I'm going to measure out where it is I'd like the tuners to go. And I would like them to go at 1 1/4 inch, which is 3.175 centimeters, and 2.5 inches, which is 6.35 centimeters. And we're going to use a 25/64 inch drill bit for these closed gear tuners from c.b.gitty Crafter Supply in order to make a hole for the tuners. And I'm just going to punch a guide hole here for the drill bit to get it started. Having a scrap piece of wood underneath the headstock before I start drilling for me is twofold. One, when I start drilling, I don't want to go busting through the back of the headstock and into my table, hence the scrap piece of wood. That's more of a reminder for myself because I've done it more than once. And also because having the scrap piece of wood underneath the headstock securely in place allows for me to drill through this piece of wood being the headstock and not split it on the exit. These closed gear tuners have just one point through which you mount your mounting screw. So I'm just going to mark those points off before I remove the tuners to make those holes with a 1/16 inch drill bit. So I'm going to drill out those guide holes for the mounting screws with my 1/16 inch drill bit, which I believe is 1.587 millimeters. I'm trying to keep up. And I've taped off the drill bit with some painter's tape, exposing the drill bit with only as much, with the length of the mounting screw, so that I don't, using this as a guide, so that I don't poke through the front side of the headstock. Wow, it took me a second there, huh? Here we're going to drill some holes for the screws that'll serve as the nut about a 1/4 inch away from this cutout of the headstock. I'm going to place 2 holes about a 1/4 inch apart, which I think is 6.35 millimeters. Here we're just going to drill down pilot holes for those screws that'll serve as the nut. At this point, you can go ahead and do some more sanding, oiling, staining of your neck, whatever it is that you want to do. I'm going to set it aside for now, but let it be known that I'm going to be building this particular model on a 25-inch scale, and we'll figure out some of the fret markings later in the video. Let's drill some holes for the tailpiece. Since this is a dowel and can roll around on us, I want to hold the dowel in place, the neck in place, and a measuring stick on top, a straight edge, if you will. And given what I know is the very most top point of the neck, I just want to draw a line right here on the tailpiece, so I know that it will align with the top or the flat edge of the headstock. What you can see here is a line that I've drawn is 25 inches or 63.5 centimeters away from the nut. This is where a visual representation of where it is that I'm going to want the bridge on top of the box. This dowel serving as the neck will be running through the box, but I just want to see roughly where the bridge is going to land. It's going to give me plenty of room coming off the back here to drill some holes through to serve as the tailpiece. So we have the line where the bridge is going to go on top of the box. We have the line that we know is the top edge of the neck, and I have a line here to cut off some excess dowel from the end of the tail or the end of the neck. And I'm basically just going to eyeball some points where I'd like to drill my holes, which will be in line with one another on top of the neck for the tailpiece, for the strings to come up through. I'm using pop rivets that are an 1/8 inch in diameter, which is going to require me to use an 1/8 inch drill bit, which is just over 3 millimeters. So with clamping your dowel securely or firmly into place, go ahead and drill those holes. On this box, we want the bottom of the box to serve as the top of the guitar. On the back end and on the front end or the neck end of the box of this guitar, I have taped off already with the painter's tape just underneath the lid, so that I can mark a spot for the neck and drill holes through on both sides in order for the neck to fit through. I have found the halfway point of both sides and marked it on the tape. And in order to find the spot to drill through to fit the neck through, I'm going to determine that by seeing what I have here at the bottom of this box, which will serve as the top of the guitar, is 1/8 of an inch, and I want to measure down a 1/16 of an inch from there, about 1.5 millimeters, to have room between the neck and what will serve as the lid of the guitar. And from that point, I want to measure down another 1/2 inch or 12.7 millimeters to find the middle of the dowel or the middle of the neck. And I'm going to mark off that point, and I'm going to drill through on both sides in order to fit the neck through. Give myself a little pilot hole to start. Fit my Forstner bit in there. Voila, we have a hole on either side. Keeping in mind that the walls of this cigar box are really thick, I've taped out one corner of the cigar box. This is the tail end. This is where the neck comes out for the headstock. Marked out the upper left-hand corner of the box and measured a spot where I'd like to put a hole. I'm just going to mark a spot for it. Drive my drill bit through it. Voila, a sound hole. Bringing back that piece of poplar from earlier in the video, I've marked dead nut center and poked a hole to start for the drill bit, and I'm just going to drill right through. So what you can see here is I've cut that piece of wood in half right down the center of the hole, so it gives me 2 braces, and these will actually be on the inside of the box, but to brace underneath where the neck will be. Here, I'm going to glue and screw the brace. Someday. There we go. Spread that around. Get that on there. This will make my life a little bit easier. Do it on both sides. I'm just inserting a piece of scrap of the dowel that I have cut off. And you're going to do the same thing over here. Now removing that scrap. Bada bang, the neck is braced. And here, let's insert our pop rivets. And as you may be aware, you still have to drill out the shaft of that pop rivet that's still in there. Time to install my sweet close gear tuners that I got from, again, c.b.gitty Crafter Supply. Wow, these little guys are buggers. Put on your washers and install your bushings. And you've got yourself some tuners. And here we're going to install those slotted panhead screws for the nut. Get my hand out of the way. And when you finally get it twisted to the point that you're satisfied, I like to leave mine about 1/4 inch above the neck. Make certain that slot's running the length of the neck, because that's the way the string is going to be running over the screw. Monster close-up of the nut. We have fit the neck into the box. We're measuring down from the nut 25 inches and positioning the neck to where it is we'd like that bridge to fall on top of the box here. Here we have a couple of screws to run through the top of the box, into the neck, and into the brace below it. They're 1 5/8", or what is that metric? I think it's just a little over 4 centimeters. I've gone ahead and poked a couple of guide holes here for my drill bit. And I'm going to go down and drill down through a hole large enough to fit the screws in. If you have a countersink bit, great. That way you can get the screws down flush to the lid. If not, not a big deal. Go ahead and drive your screws down in there. Here we're going to insert one screw to keep the back of the box closed. If you have a box corner or a latch, that's awesome too. I want to make getting back into this build at a later date an easy thing to do, just in case I want to install a piezo. So we've gone ahead and run the strings up through the tailpiece, as you can see here, and run them over a simple bridge piece, which is just I had a spare piece of oak dowel kicking around. You can use a pencil nub or a threaded rod. The strings are running over those slot-headed screws that are serving as the nut, and they're wound around the tuners. If you'd like to have some fret markers, I'm going to give you some approximate measurements for the frets. They are not exact, so please don't take these measurements and try to apply them to a fretted instrument. These are approximate and great for a slide, but I wouldn't go fretting an instrument with these particular measurements. So the first fret is at 1 7/16 of an inch. I'm sorry, I don't have the metrics for this. The second fret is at 2 3/4 of an inch. The third fret is at 4 inches. The fourth fret is at 5 3/16 of an inch. I'll put the metrics in the description below if that helps. What we have left is a quick and dirty 2-string guitar or a Chugger. It's not going to win any beauty pageants, but it's a nice, quick, easy guitar you can put out in an afternoon. And I've strung it up with a 42 gauge and a 22 gauge string, which when tuned comes out to an A and an E in this case, and this is how it's going to sound. Matt, come on in, buddy. You gotta say hi to the people.
Hi guys.
Hi guys. There you have it. Again, a quick and dirty 2-string guitar or Chugger. Now, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me directly at glenn@glennwatt.com. Check out where I celebrate the cigar box guitar at glennwatt.com, or you can also leave a comment here in the thread. And I appreciate your time. Until the next time, see ya.
You're going in it. No, you really are. That's going to be awesome.
I have a better light now. Right at the end, too. This is where I usually put the outtakes.
Good stuff.
There we go.
You're going in it now. What are you doing with my mug?